All right. All right, Rabbi, say good morning. Let's begin. Our shir this morning is dedicated by Yonasan and Jennifer Kaplan in commemoration of the yahrzeit of Jen's father, and by Ann Friedman, Jennifer's mother, on the yahrzeit of her husband Stephen Friedman, Shmuel Leib ben Usher, Zichron Livracha. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, the Neshama will have an aliyah and the family a nechama. And I will say with that, let's begin. We have an interesting daf ahead of us today. Today's daf is Chaf Beis 22, and we are picking up on Chaf Aleph Amud Beis 21b, the Mishnah. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says as follows. So we'll say, still talking about the halachos concerning Bechar Behema Tahora, right? Obviously, that's the topic over here. But specifically, we got into the topic in the first parak of this chapter. So we got into the issue of if you're purchasing animals, essentially, how do you know whether or not the animal that gives birth, or I should say, the offspring that occurs after you purchase the animal is Bechor or not? So that was the topic of our discussion. But as a result, Rabbi Akiva kind of introduced us into the world of animal miscarriages, right? And ultimately, again, Behema Daka, Behema Gasa, and what happens under those circumstances. We're kind of going to continue on that theme just a little bit more. So it says the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer, Behema Gasa Sheshafa, Chararas Dam. If you have a Behema Gasa, I will say now that what this literally means is it gave birth to like a chunk of blood. Chararas Dam means like a mass. It gives birth to a mass. Now, but here's the idea. The mass looks like a solidified mass of blood. There is no discernible fetus in that. But nevertheless, again, that's what it gave birth to. So both say, so now we make the, so, well, let's play it out. So it says the Gemara, Harezuti cover. You have to bury that. Now, both this is assuming that this animal has not yet given birth. This animal has not yet given birth. So it hasn't given birth, but what it does do is it delivers, quote unquote, this chunk, this mass of blood. To cover, you have to bury it. And both say this is a solid mass. So ultimately, again, you have to bury it. Uptura mina bechora, and any subsequent births of the animal are ultimately pater from bechar. Okay, so I'm sorry. So it sounds like that we look at this chararas dam as a miscarriage. Look at Rashi. Rashi's harezu tikaver hacharara. So you have to go ahead and bury this mass. Dasura bahana, because ultimately, again, the mass is asur bahana. You can't get any benefit from it. Why? The shema vlad zachar haya, because perhaps this was the bechar animal. Shenimuk, ultimately, again, that dissolved within this mass. The kaddish bechor b'tziasa, and therefore, again, a bechar ultimately has kedusha. So maybe again, this animal has, or this mass has a fetus inside of it that dissolved. Therefore, again, Allah Lamaisa, you can't get any benefit from it. Because you can't get any benefit from it, you bury it. Good. Says the Gemara. Tani Rabbi Chia. And about again, you bury it, and Allah Lamaisa, any subsequent offspring is pater from Bechor. Good. So far, so good. Tani Rabbi Chia. So Rabbi Chia comes along and says, oh, but one important caveat, which is that halacha l'maisa, that mass does not convey tumah. That mass does not convey tumah, neither conveys tumah maga through contact or masa through carrying it. Now, take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Masa kinevela. Now, so here's something very interesting. So what we just got finished saying in the Mishnah is that what? What do you do with the mass? What do you do with the mass? You bury it. Why do you bury it? Because you assume that there's a fetus in there. That's why you bury it. Yet comes along Rabbi Chia and says, oh, by the way, but it's not metame with maga and masa. So says Rashi, so it's not metame ki maga masa and kinevela. Says Rashi, hashtos sakadaitcha mishum delo chayshina shem avlad nimok amaiti cover. Now we'll say, now bepashtos, it sounds like what Rabbi Chia is doing is arguing on the Mishnah. And he's saying it's not metame b'maga and b'masa. Why? Why? Because I don't assume that there is some type of fetus in there. I don't assume that there's any type of fetus. Therefore, again, there's no tumah. To which the Gemara says, but if that's the case, I might cover. Remember, both say, if if there's a fetus that's born and that fetus dies, that fetus is born dead, that is metame kinevela, right? Ultimately, again, so therefore says the Gemara over here, up until now we're assuming that you have to bury it because halacha l'maisa, there's a fetus in there. We assume there's a fetus in there. Rabbi Chia comes along and says it's not metame, therefore telling us there's no fetus in there. If there's no fetus in there, I might cover. Then why am I obligated to go ahead and bury this mass? Top of Chaf Beis Amud Aleph, Kedei lefarsa ma sheniftara min habechora. Now, to which the Gemara gives a very enigmatic answer. We bury it, we make you bury it, so that people should know that the subsequent birth of this animal is pater from Bechor. Look at Rashi. Omeshani Kedei lefarsa ma le'im sheptura min habechora t'mitekabrina lecharara mechaskina le'bevlad. So we'll say this logic is going to be a bit strange. So now what we're saying over here is, it's not metame b'maga b'masa, right? It's not metame b'maga b'masa. If that's the case, why do you have to bury it? You only have to bury it so that people will know that the mother is therefore exempt from the halachas of Bechor. That when she gives birth to another animal, that animal is not a Bechor. I don't understand. Lememra, so that's telling me then, divlad ma'al yehu. Again, if the mother is exempt from Bechor, then what does that mean? That means there was a fetus. Right? If you tell me that it's a fetus, it's a Vlad Ma'alya, then I will say what? Va'amai in metamid lo b'maka v'lo b'masa. Again, I will say we're going around in circles a little bit over here. I got it. You bury it to tell me that the mother is patur from Bechor. Patur from Bechor. If the mother is patur from Bechor, that's because there was a Vlad. And that's why you have to bury it. And if there was a Vlad, why isn't it metame b'mag and b'masa? So Rabbi Yochanan, here we go. Mishum bittel barov naguba. So we'll say to which Rabbi Yochanan responds and he says, you're right. There is ultimately, again, we assume that there is a Vlad in there. We assume that there is a fetus in there. But Allah Chalamais, we also assume that what? That the fetus is bottle to the other stuff. It's not a scientific term, but you understand. Right? It's bottle to the other stuff. Remember, again, when that fetus comes out, and especially in this case where it's a charara, it's a mass of blood, there's a lot of other organic material from the mother that has nothing to do, well, not nothing to do, but is not part of the fetus. So because of that, the Gemara says, we assume that ultimately, again, the fetus is bottle in the rest of the stuff. So I'll say, so this yields something very interesting. So what we're saying is like this. When the mother gives birth to this mass, what the Mishnah calls this chararas dam, so first of all, we're going to say it's buried. Why is it buried? So we'll say it's buried because we assume there's a fetus in there, and then also that people should know that therefore this mother is exempt from subsequent halachos of Bechor. But why isn't it metami b'maga and b'masa? Because we assume that the fetus is bottle to the other stuff in the mass. Take a look at Rashi. L'meimra abad bittel barov lahachi ina metame shebatel habasa barov dam uviganinim sheyotzin imo. So ultimately, again, we assume that the nefal, that the offspring, the fetus, is bottle in the rest of the mass. Va'az Rabbi Yochanan l'tamei. And Rabbi say, this is Rabbi Yochanan going according to his reasoning. Remember again, so Rabbi Yochanan is one who just said that in order to reconcile all of this, we just hold of bittul barov. Bittul barov, the fetus is bottle in the rest of the mass. Therefore, again, Allah Chalamai said exempts the mother from Bechor because there is a fetus there. You have to bury it in order to make a general declaration that people should know the animal is subsequently bottle from Bechor, but it is not, bless you, it's not mentai b'magam b'masa because it is bottle. Beautiful. V'az Rabbi Yochanan tamei. Rabbi Yochanan goes according to his logic. Dam Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Rabbi Shimon Amru Davar Echad. So also Rabbi Yochanan says as follows: that Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and Rabbi Shimon both said the same thing. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Hada Amra. So also Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is the one who's quoted in our Mishnah. Right? Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov is the author of our Mishnah. So the Rabbi Shimon Mai, what did Rabbi Shimon say? Here we go. Disnan. Hashalya babayis, habayis tameh. If halacha l'maisa you have a shalya, what's this? So a shalya is a placenta, right? You have an afterbirth, right? You have the shalya in the home, so the home is tameh. The home is tameh. Look at Rashi just a moment. Hashalya babayis shepila isha shalya ve'in vlad nikerba. A woman delivers a placenta, but there is no discernible fetus there. Nevertheless, again, the home contracts tuma, right? The bayis is tameh. Why is that? Lo sheshal yevlad. It doesn't mean that we don't assume that the placenta is the child, is the fetus. Rather, elo she'in shalya below vlad. Rather, again, what Chazal were saying was what? There's no placenta without a baby. In other words, that ultimately, again, if there is a placenta, that means there was a fetus. So what happened? So what happened to the fetus? Rabbi Shimon Omer, Vlad Nimuk Ad Shelo Yatsa. So Rabbi Shimon says, what happened to the fetus? The fetus dissolved into the placenta material. So it's coming out now as a mass, and although, again, discernibly, I only see a fetus, but I understand ultimately to be a fetus, and also, I see to be a placenta and a dissolved fetus. So what Rabbi Yochanan is doing is saying that this position of Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shimon is the same as Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. That both are essentially saying that whenever you have the mother deliver this mass, we assume that in the mass, ultimately, again, is a dissolved fetus. So you have it over here, in this case over here, where the mother, this is by human beings, by people, the mother delivers a placenta, we assume that there is a dissolved fetus inside of that placenta, and therefore, again, it conveys tumah. We have Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov in the Mishnah telling me that in that mass, we assume there is a dissolved fetus. Therefore, halacha l'maisa, you will bury it. The mother is exempt from subsequent bechor, but it's not metami b'magen b'masa because it's batal barov. Beautiful. Says the Gemara. Let's go weiter. So I'll just tell you. Yeah, so the Shulchan Aruch actually paskins this way. It was this is a straight out halacha, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov's statement. This is in Hilchos Inyar Deya, Hilchos Bechar Behema Tamea Shin Tes Vav Zayin. It's a longer halacha. I'll just read to you from the end. The end of it is Shaf'a Chararas Dam. If the mother gave birth to a mass of blood, again, remember, I will say this is a mass, a solid mass. Petura Mea Bechora. She is exempt from Bechora afterwards, the mother, because we assume again that there's a nafel in there. V'achararati kaver, you have to bury the mass. Lefarisama shi p'tur me'a Bechora, and you have to bury the mass in order to go ahead and publicize that she is pater from Bechora. Good, that's how he paskin. Says the Gemara. Let's go weiter. So Tanan Hasam, this is actually a very interesting halacha. Ein l'nefalim psichas hakever ad sheya'agilu rosh kipika. So this is actually very interesting. So the halacha is that we call psichas hakever. Now I will say the truth is we're going to see this actually has different kinds of ramifications in different types of circumstances. So in the nefalim psichas hakever. Let me find this here over here, just 1 second. So in the nefalim, look at Rashi just one psichas hakever. So Rashi says over here, Isha shemes ubra b'me'eha. If a woman unfortunately miscarries, and what happens? But the fetus has died inside of her. V'yashva ala mashber, and she's getting ready to deliver. V'niftach kever harechem bebayis zeh, and her womb opens up in this home. We're going to define what this means. V'lo yatsa havlad, but ultimately again the child was not yet delivered. V'otzi'u lebayis acher. So we'll say essentially what the Gemara is saying is like this. We're going to see, by the way, a lot of these sugyas in Meseches Nida in greater depth. But essentially what the Gemara is saying is like this. That at a certain point in time when there's a psichas hakever, an opening of the womb, so ultimately it's as if, for certain respects, the child is born. And therefore, again, if the fetus is dead, it conveys tumah. Okay, without getting into the technicalities here. So the Gemara says, how large? So I literally translated, Ein l'nefalim psichas hakever ad she'agilu rosh kipika. There is no opening of the womb in all of its ramifications until the head of the fetus is the size of a pika. They're both saying now, what that means is the head of the fetus size of a pika means essentially that if the head of the fetus is the size of a pika, that's the amount that is opening up the womb before it goes ahead and is born. My kipika. Right, so what's a pika? Says the Gemara, Amrafuna kepika shel tzemer. Oh, it's like a pika of wool. Very helpful, right? So let's say, so interestingly enough, and Rashi over here, of course, it sheds incredible light on this. Pika shel tzemer lemoshil, whatever that means, right? So Rashi points out over here, is in the Hagos Tzuna, he says, Perish pakaas salil kadur shel chut. So it's interesting. He calls it kadur shel chut, means what? A ball of thread. A ball of string, a ball of thread. So I will say, so in English, this word is a whorl, right? W-H-O-R-L, whorl or whirl. The definition of a whorl is a small wheel or pulley in a spinning wheel, spinning machine, or spindle. Okay. Thank you. I did. I prepare for this year. Right? So that's the world. So again, it's a small wheel or pulley in the spinning wheel, spinning machine, or spindle. So it happens to be a little. The Hagos at Tziyunim is actually a much easier definition. A ball of string, which is a bit easier. Okay. Either way, we're going to see that it's something. Really, what it is it's something on a serious level. It's something that holds the thread in a spinning machine, in a loom. That's what this is. That's the pika. So it says the Gemara, Amar Rav Huna, pika shel tzemer. Amar lechia barav l'Rav Huna. Rebbe, so listen to this. So I'll say, so now we're not finished with the pika. So now you told me that the pika is the thing in the loom that holds the ball of wool. So now I have a further shaila. So Amar lechia barav l'Rav Huna. So Chia barav said to Rav Huna, Rebbe, Perish, tell me, shel shasi o shel arev. So we'll say, remember again, in a loom, you always have the warp and the woof, right? You have the threads that go in the different directions. Apparently, again, each of them had their own pika, right? And they had a pika of different sizes. So which pika is this referring to, right? Is this the pika of the warp or the pika of the woof? Amalei Tanya, pika shel shasi. So he answered him, it is the pika of the warp. Divrei Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Huda Omer, shel arev. Rabbi Huda says, no, it's the pika of the wolf. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Tzadok Omer, Mishiyiru Tififios, or Tififios. So when Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Tzadok comes, there's a different shear. Remember, we're trying to figure out at what time there's a quote-unquote opening, what we call Psichas HaKever. Psichas HaKever means an opening of the womb. Opening of the womb has, for our purposes right now, it's a shaila in Tumah. When we get into Hilchos Nida, we'll discuss that Psichas HaKever's ramifications for Nida, right? For Nida. So again, but for right now, we're not talking about Nida, we're talking about Tumah. So Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Tzadok says, at what point in time is the womb considered to be open? Mishiyira Tefifios. Rashi says over here, so Mishiru Tefifios, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Tzadok Palik Atanakama, Va'amar Afagav Shlo Igilu Rosh Kipika, Yish Psichas HaKever, Mishiyiftach Rachma Kolkach, Shiru Pesach Rachma Tefifios. So Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is coming to argue on the Tanakama. The Tanakama said the shear for Psichas HaKever, the shear for the opening of the womb, ultimately is what? Kipika, that the head of the fetus is the size of the pika, thereby opening up the womb that amount. Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadok says, no, it's different. Mishiru Tefifios. My tefifios. What does that mean when you see the tefifios? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Mishum Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Tzadok. This is the way they explain in Yerushalayim. Kipreda. This is like a mule. Shekoras lahatil meimeha. So apparently, when a mule squats in order to urinate, venires pika mitoch pika. Apparently, when she squats to urinate, you're able to see into the womb, and you're able to go ahead and see the folds of the womb. So that level of opening of the womb, ultimately, again, is called Psichas HaKever. So Rabbi Yaakov says that would be the definition for the opening of the womb, which Rabbi said we then remember, just so you understand the ramifications of this. The ramifications of this would be that halacha lamaisa, if, and this is true, this would be true ultimately, again, by an avela as well as by a human being. So if the mother were delivering and ultimately the womb were opened this amount, that would be ki'ilu as if what? As if the deceased fetus was born and would already go ahead and convey tumah. Okay, says the Gemara. Amar Rav Huna, Shamati shtei pikos. So we'll say now that we started the topic of pikos, right, of this thing that holds the ball of thread on the loom. Now that we started speaking about pikos, Rav Huna says, I learned two halachas about pikos. Achal shel shesi va'achal shel arev. One was about the pika of the warp. One was about the pika of the wolf. Ve'in li lefarish. But I don't remember what I learned. Right? I know that I learned. First of all, this is very affirming. Very affirming. I know I heard something. I just don't know what I heard. Right? He's honest, very honest. So what he's saying is, what he's saying is like this. I know that in halacha, there was a point where we made a distinction between these two types of pikos. But I don't remember what the distinction was. Shalosh piko shamati. So Rav Dimi came along and said to Rabbi Yochanan, I actually heard, I'll tell you one better. I heard the halachas about three different pikos. Acha shal shesi, one pika for the warp, one pika for the wolf, acha shal arif, va'acha shal pika gidola shal sakon. We'll say there's another pika. when making large sacks, so they used a different kind of loom. So that loom had its own kind of pika. Ve'ein li lefarish. But I don't remember what I heard about each of them. So I learned that each of these types of picos, right? So we'll say really what we're saying over here is like this. It's not a halacha in the pika. What is it saying? These three picos are three different sizes. So I heard halachos where ultimately, again, the size of the particular pika corresponds to unique nuance in that halacha. But I don't remember what the halachos were corresponding to the sizes of the picos. So the Gemara says, when Rabbin came along, Pirsha Meshed Rabbi Yochanan. So he explained the relevance of all the shimur of all the picos. Here we go. Shal Isha Kishal Shasi. So we'll say again, when it comes to the opening of the womb of a woman, at what point in time is the womb of a woman considered to be open? Again, we'll see later on for nida purposes, but right now it's for tumah purposes. If the child has died in utero, at what point in time is the womb considered to be open? Kishal shasi. That's if it's opened up and if the head of the fetus is the size of the pika shal shasi, the warp pika. Right, the warp pika, the warp ultimately again being the ball, the piece that holds the ball of thread on the warp part of the loom. Sorry, shel behema. Right, again, what's considered to be the psichas hakara, the opening of the womb for a behema? Kisha aref, the pika of the wolf. Pika gidola shel sakon. What do I do ultimately again with the shear of the large pika that's used to make sacks? So this is actually very interesting. Says the Gemara. Here we go. Kidesanya. Gush haba mi beis hapras or mi eretz ha'amim. A very interesting case. If you have a clod of dirt that came from a beis hapras, we'll say beis hapras means a field in chutz la'aretz. Right? We'll say, now remember again, we've learned this many times. Fields in chutz la'aretz always have a problem. What are we concerned about? Graves. Right? Bones, right? The corpses. Because the idea is, you see, in Eretz Yisrael, we are very organized about where we bury. Why are we organized? Kohanim. Right, Kohanim, even aside from Kohanim, Tumantari have to be very vigilant about in Eretz Yisrael. In Chutz La'aretz, we assume there's not that same level of vigilance. Therefore, again, I will say, there is a rabbinic tumah imposed upon Eretz Ha'amim. Right, a rabbinic tumah that's imposed upon the lands outside of Chutz La'aretz, because we never know where there's a grave, where there's bones. Good. So what happens if someone brings a gush, right, a clod of earth that comes from a beis hapras, that comes from a field, me'eretz ha'amim, and comes from chutz la'aretz? So we'll say, so what's the halacha? Shi'uro kepika, gidola shel sakon. Ultimately, again, I will say the shear. Now the shear for what? Take a look at Rashi. Shi'uro l'tamei ba'ohel, v'lisrof alav truma v'kachim kepika, gidola shel sakon. So this is actually quite interesting. The shear for that clod of earth. The shear for that clod of earth to convey tumah ba'ohel, to convey tumah under a roof is what size? The size of the pika that is used on the loom to go ahead and create sacks, to spin, to thread sacks. So that is also shehu kichosim hamartzufin v'yeshno b'tzad ha'elyon shel magufos hachavis halachamis. And this, I will say, is the same shear. This is the same size. The Gemara is just giving other ways that we can recognize the size, like the seal of the martzufin. Rashi says over here, Sakin Gidolim Shalgemi Kishenolan Osan Chosmin Osan. Apparently, the large sacks that are made out of reeds, they would seal it with some type of seal. So the size of the pika for the sack loom is the same size as the seals on the side, which is also V'yeshno b'tzad elyon shel megufas hachavis halachamis. And apparently in Beit Lechem, they used to make some type of special type of chavis, of barrel, and they used to put a magufa, some type of clay seal on the top of it as well. That is the size of the sack pika. So we'll say, so therefore, halacha l'maisa, what comes out is as follows. The three picos, right, each of them have a different halachic relevance. The pika, ultimately, again, of the shesi, of the warp thread, that's the size of the opening for a woman's womb for tumah purposes. The size of the pika, of the arev, of the warp thread, that's the opening of an animal's womb. And ultimately, again, the pika, the size of the pika, ultimately, again, for the larger loom that is used to weave sacks, that ultimately is the shear for a clod of earth brought from chutz la'aretz, in which it would convey tumas ohel. Beautiful. Amarei Shlakish Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya. Halokeach was another interesting case. Halokeach tzir me'am haaretz. Listen to this case. I purchased brine. They both say, just to define our terms over here, what tzir means. Tzir is not like brine, like you and I think of it. It's what the Gemara calls brine, but really what it is it's fish juice, right? It's just the stuff that comes out of fish, right? So that we'll call it brine. Halokeach tzir me'am haaretz. Listen to this case. I buy tzir from an am haaretz. So I'll say, so now, what's my problem? Look at Rashi. So the Gemara says, no, not yet. Sorry. So what happened? Well, let's analyze. So I go ahead and I buy from Aretz. Mashiko b'mayim tarbo says amazing. So now apparently there's a tumah issue which we'll discuss. So how do I remedy the tumah issue? Mashiko b'mayim. I do something called hashaka. The Rabbi says is actually quite interesting. So the concept of hashaka means like this: that there are certain things which could be purified if they kiss mikvah water. What that means is there just has to be some type of connection between the mikvah water and the other liquid item. And ultimately, again, we'll say, by the way, you should know, almost all mikvahos today work with the principle of hashaka, right? When you go to the mikvah, so you don't have 40 sa'ah, right, necessarily of rainwater, but rather, again, usually we have two boros, two different cisterns, one of rainwater, one of regular water, and because they kiss, because there's hashaka, ultimately, again, the rainwater converts all of the water into mei mikvah. Interestingly enough, this works with Tumah and Tara as well. Namely what? That halacha l'maaseh, if you have this tzir, if you have this brine, which is tameh, and you now want to make it tar, so what do? You put it in a bucket, you immerse it in a mikvah. And what do? You immerse it just below the water line of the mikvah waters, and what does that do? The mikvah waters kisses the brine, and ultimately, again, everyone lives happily ever after, right? The brine is going to be tahar. So says the Gemara, what's the problem? So what's the issue over here? Imaya rubaninu. So we'll say, if at the end of the day, the water in the brine mixture is the rov, kevan da avidlu ashaka tari. Ultimately, again, if the water in the brine mixture was somehow tameh, so the fact that it kisses the mikvah waters is going to make it tar. V'i ruba tzir, and if the majority is this tzir, right, is this brine, tzir ninhu, tzir lo bar kabule tumahu. Ultimately, again, tzir itself, Rabbi say, the actual fish juice itself is not mekabel tumah. Why is the fish juice not mekabel tumah? Look at Rashi. Tzir la mekabel tumah. Dezea ba'amuhu sheyotze min adagim kishamol chinosan. Because we'll say ultimately again the tzir is considered to be just literally sweat. Right, the actual brine itself is not considered to be a davar chashuv. Because it's not considered to be a davar chashuv, therefore it's not mekabel tumah. So we'll see here what's happening over here. So halacha l'maisa. I'm purchasing this tzir from the Am Haaretz. What am I concerned about? I'm concerned maybe the tzir became tameh. Maybe the Am Haaretz mishandled it. Therefore, says the Gemara, there's a very simple remedy. What do you do with it? You immerse it in the mikvah. You just need hashaka with the mikvah waters, because what does that take care of? So regardless, Rabbi say again, I'm good. If the water became tameh, then what? Then the hashaka, the kissing with the mikvah waters does what? Remedies the tumah. Fine, done. And if it's the tzir that you're worried about becoming tameh, then what? That's not a problem either. Why? Tzir can't become tameh. Why can't tzir become tameh? Because it's too insignificant. It's not a davar chashuv. And because it's not a davar chashuv, therefore it is not mekabel tumah. So says the Gemara, Ma'ika mishum hanach miuta demaya, hanach batal beruba. But I don't understand. What's the issue over here? Well, the issue over here is that you're so really in the tzir mixture, the only thing you really have to be concerned about is what? Is the water. Right? That's the concern. I purchased tzir from an Am Haaretz. My real concern is maybe the water in the mixture became tameh. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. What's the problem even if the water did become tameh? Hanach batlu beruba. Ultimately, again, the water becomes batal barov. Right? The majority of the mixture of the brine of the tzir is not water, so the water should become batal barov in the rest of the mixture. Ultimately, again, so therefore, again, do not worry about the miut of the water. Ultimately, again, that water will be batal in the rov. And therefore, again, the tzir does not become tameh. Fine. Rabbi Yirmiyah. So Rabbi Yirmiyah qualifies this halacha. When does this work? Lo shanu ela litbal behen pito. This only works if you're going to use the tzir as a dip. If you're going to use the tzir as a dip, then you could employ this method ultimately again of being mevatel, the potential water, or purifying, not being mevatel, purifying the water that became tameh. Aval likdera, but however again low. But what you can't do is you cannot use this tzir as an ingredient in a cooked dish. Why not? Because matzah mines mino v'neir. Both say this is amazing. Because what's going to happen if indeed the water inside of the tzir was tameh, and you now introduce it into a pot of water, into a pot of food that has water, what's going to happen? Matzah mines mino. The water in the brine is going to combine with what? The water inside of the pot, and what? Veneer will be reawakened and will once again become tameh. To which the Gemara says, what? Does that actually work? Does that actually happen? Yasser Rav Dimi v'kamar la hashmaita. Amar le Abaye v'chituma shebat la chazra v'niura. Rabbi say this is incredible. This goes back a little bit to our chulin days. So Rabbi say this gets into a fascinating topic of what we call choser v'neir. Choser v'neir means that sometimes that there's a concept that even if something is bottle, it can be reawakened subsequently. So what the Gemara is suggesting over here is like this. So let's just play out the case. I'm purchasing brine from an Amma Aretz. What's my concern? Is the water inside of the brine. So the Gemara says, okay, don't worry about it. We have a remedy for it, hashaka. No problem. But then the Gemara says, by the way, even if you do hashaka, you could use it as a dip. No problem, totally edible. But you cannot mix it into a pot of food. Because what's going to be the concern there? The concern there is that the water in the food is going to combine ultimately with the water in the tzir, reawaken the water in the tzir, and now what's going to be the problem? You could end up having a rove of mayim. And if you have a rove of mayim, that can go ahead and compromise the entire pot. Says the Gemara. So is that true? Is that actually true? Does Tuma actually, could Tuma become reawakened? Yeah. Do you not hold of that? After all, we learned. So I'll say, if you have a sa'ah, right, listen to this. If you have a sa'ah of truma tameya, right, you have one sa'ah of impure truma, shenafla lemeya. Nice, right? Nice. One of those good Daf Yomi days, right? So I'll say, so ultimately, again, I have one sa'ah of truma tameya that fell into what? Shenafla lemeya chulin, and it fell into 100 parts chulin. So we'll say again, the ratios here are very important. One sa'ah of truma tameya that fell into 100 sa'ah of chulin. What's ta'ala? Chulin tahorin. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Eliezer Omer Tiru. So first look at Rashi. Lumeya chulin tahorin shelo hochshiru velo tim asan benefila. So we'll say this chulin was never hochshir lakabel tumah. Ultimately, again, it was never readied to be makabel tumah. It never became wet, and therefore again does not become tameh when the sa'ah of truma tameya is mixed in. So says the Gemara. So what do you do now? Rabbi Eliezer Omer tirum v'terakev. Rabbi Eliezer says you have to go ahead and what? You have to take out truma, right? You have to remove the sa'ah of truma, v'terakev, and ultimately again you let the sa'ah of truma rot. Why? Rashi says kedin truma tameya. In other words, you have to separate out the sa'ah of truma tameya and let it rot. Shani Omer, because I will say, Shani Omer, he sa'ah shenafla, he sa'ah sha'alsa. I assume that the sa'ah that fell in is the sa'ah that I remove. The Chacham say a little bit differently. They say ta'ala v'te'achel. Look at Rashi. Ta'ala v'tibatel v'te'achel emchulel. Ultimately, again, we say that the sa'ah of truma tameh is batel and therefore can be consumed with the mixture. However, v'te'achel nikudim o kalayos. But again, here's the only catch. The catch is you have to eat it. Nikudim, Rashi says over here, nikudim is biyovesh, kimo yavesh hay nikudim, da achshav afagav sheish batmeya, u'tohora ein metames atahora below hechsher, u'tmeya betel betorah v'te'achon nikudim. So let's listen to this. This is actually quite amazing. The Chachamim saying that the truma tameya will be batel in the mixture, and you could eat the mixture, but you have to eat the mixture dry. Why do you have to eat the mixture dry? Because if the mixture gets wet and the chulin becomes huksha l'kabel tumah, the chulin can become tameh as a result of the truma tameh. This is fascinating. So Chum say it's batal and you can eat it, but you could only prepare it in a dry manner. That's nekudim. Klayos means parched. You roast it. Otilush b'meiperos, or you could wet it and you could knead it ultimately with fruit juices, which were not one of the 7 liquids, which ultimately again makes something hukshul kabel tuma. O tischalik liisos, or you could go ahead and divide it up ultimately again into smaller doughs. Ubilvad shelo yehei b'makom echad kebeitza. As long as what? None of those doughs ultimately again have the shear of a beitza. Then I both say, so this is quite really amazing and fascinating. So remember again, 1 of Truma Tmeya that's getting mixed in with 100 portions of chulin tahorin. Rabbi Eliezer says essentially, he says you have to remove a sa'ah, and you're just going to treat it. You're going to assume that the sa'ah that you remove is a sa'ah that fell in. Remove the Truma Tmeya and let it rot like the din of Truma Tmeya. Chachamim say it is batal. It is batal. It's batal, but yet, what's the halacha? It's batal, but you have to handle it with care. Handle it with care and prevent the mixture from getting wet, right? Prevent the mixture from getting wet. Eat it dry, so that ultimately, again, the Truma Tmeya cannot convey tuma to the chulin. So either eat it dry, or use fruit juices, or divide it up into smaller doughs, as long as what? Each subsequent dough does not have the shear of a beitza. Both say we're going to stop over here at that last piece about dividing up the doughs into smaller amounts, and Me'ez Hashem will expound upon tomorrow. Let me share with you a short idea. So we know that today there are sheets going around. Now today is Yom Ha'atzmaut, the day in which we celebrate the Hakamas HaMadina, the establishment of the state of Israel. And I will say it's important to understand, and we know, unfortunately, I always find that this day gets shrouded in so much, it's just like controversy, about how to celebrate it, what are you celebrating, should you celebrate it? And so I just want to frame a little bit for the day, what it is that we're celebrating. Because like I always say, whatever you choose to do, Hallel, no Hallel, Yom Tiv, not, whatever it is, on a hashkafic level, on a theological level, it is important to appreciate the incredible miracle that occurred on this day. And in your own unique personal way, to give Shevach and Hodah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because Rabbi say, it is a miraculous day. It is an absolutely miraculous day. And if you don't hear the footsteps of Mashiach on a day like this, I think a person, mamish, has to have their hearing checked. Because something dramatic is occurring. The nature of that drama, whether it's the beginning of Geula, whether it's already, like Rav Tzio, the HaKohen Cook writes, people call the Hakamas HaMadina Schalta de Geula, the beginning of the Geula. He fundamentally disagrees with that. He says the Geula started way before the establishment of the state. The state is another piece in it. So, okay, whether the establishment of the state is a Schalta de Geula, some already further step along in the Geula, or maybe it's not the beginning of the Geula. Maybe not. A person is entitled to feel that way also. Even if you hold that it's not a part of Messianic redemption, which again I personally disagree with, but even if you hold that way, it's still something magnificently amazing. So I think that no matter how you go ahead and you look at it, something amazing happened on this day. So I want to share with you an incredible and beautiful idea by Rav Ariel. Rav Yaakov Ariel is the Rav Harashi. He's occupied many important positions in the religious Zionist movement. The last one is he is currently the chief rabbi of Petach Tikva. And he wrote a number of sram. He has a beautiful sefer called Me'alei Torah, which actually has essays on the parasha, which is magnificent. And he has a piece on Yom Ha'atzmaut, and I want to share it with you quickly. He quotes the Gemara Maseches Brachos. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ezu ben ha'olam haba. Who is a ben olam haba? Zeh somich geula l'tfila shel arvis. Rabbi Yoshua Amar tfilos be'em sam tziknu. B'may kamiflagi. Rabbi Yochanan savar geula me'arta nami havi. Elo geula ma'al yasa lo havya ela at safra. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi savar kevin lo havya ela mitzafra lo havya geula ma'al yasa. So we'll say, listen to this. Fundamental machlokes, ultimately again between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yoshua about geula in Ma'ariv. Geula in Ma'ariv. Is there a din of smichas geula l'tfila by Ma'ariv? Everyone agrees that in Shachris, the smichas geula l'tfila, you have to say Gal Yisrael, and you're not supposed to interrupt, you're supposed to go right into Shemona Esrei. Is there a din, is there an obligation of smichas geula l'tfila by Ma'ariv? So ultimately, Rabbi Yochanan says yes, that who is a ben olam haba? One who is somich geula l'tfila, not just in Shachris, but ultimately again in Ma'ariv as well. Right? So what are they? So Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi seems to disagree with that. So says the Gemara, ultimately again, what are they arguing about? So ultimately Rabbi Yochanan holds there's Geula at night and there's Geula by day. Everyone agrees that the Geula by day is a stronger Geula, right? Everyone agrees with that. But there's still Geula at night. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, at the end of the day, if you hold that the better Geula is by day, then that's really the only Geula. There's no real Geula at night. So just understand what they're arguing halachically. Is in Ma'ariv we say the bracha of Gal Yisrael, but what? We don't go right into after that, right? Remember again, even in Eretz Yisrael, you have what? Hashkivenu, and in Chutz La'aretz you have Baruch Hashem Li'olam. So we're not juxtaposing. So what's happening over here? So Rabbi Yochanan is saying that even though there's an interruption between Gal Yisrael and Shemona Esrei, that's still called Smichas Geula L'Tfila even at night. It's just that the morning has a stronger Smichas Geula L'Tfila. The morning has a stronger juxtaposition of redemption to Tefillah. But redemption to Tefillah applies both by morning and by night. Whereas Rabbi Shmuel Levi says, no, either it's juxtaposed or it's not juxtaposed. Therefore, Smichas Geula Tefillah applies by day, doesn't apply by night. So says Rav Ariel something so beautiful. Kotev machloksam Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi na'utz biyachso shel adam ha'ma'amin letalichei geula shadayin lehushlumo. I will say, what are they really arguing about? They're arguing about embryonic geula. That what happens when geula has not fully matured, when geula has not yet fully come about. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi savar shirak geula shlema nechsheves legeula. Rabbi Yeshua holds that geula is only a fully baked process, right? If it's not shalem, then it's not geula. Rak begeulas yom kisha'or kavar zorech b'miluo. It is only a geula of the day, where the sun shines bright, where the geula is unequivocally clear. That's called geula. Kishebar lo adam shachei nigal legamrei ra'oi lahasmich geula letfila ulahodos laHashem al yishuaso va'al hatzalaso. Rabbi will say, when is there a din smichas geula tefillah? When is there a din ultimately again of juxtaposing Ga'al Yisrael ultimately to Shemona Esrei? When do we thank Hashem for geula? Only when geula is complete. When is geula complete? By day. Only in the daytime. I will say, what does daytime represent? Daytime represents a time of clarity. Daytime represents a time of unambiguity. Daytime represents a time of unequivocal geula. When there's unequivocal geula, that's when you somech geula l'tfila. That's when you thank Hashem for geula. But at night, lefnei kain, ein adayin makom l'tfila. Beforehand, when it's night, although you know there's geula somewhere, you don't give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for that kind of geula. The only redemption we thank God for is geula bayom, a geula that is clear and unequivocal. Rabbi Yochanan holds shegam geulas laila afa pi shadayin lahushlama she'ein hi berura she'adayin lota ba'afela af hi geula. Rabbi Yochanan on the other hand holds that what? Even nighttime geula, Rabbi saying, which is a bit ambiguous, which is a bit amorphous, which is a bit still unrefined, you still give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for that geula as well. Yesh lahodos ala avar uletzapos la'asid. You have to give thanks for the past and to look forward to the future. Ulevakish me Hashem sheyamshich es atalech ad hashlamos samaleya. So says Rav Ariel, ha'alocha nifsekes Rabbi Yochanan. We'll say, how do we paskin? We pass like Rabbi Yochanan. Shagam geulas halayla roi lahasmich la tefila. We'll say, we pass like Rabbi Yochanan. And therefore, even at night by Ma'ariv, we are somech geula litfila. The bracha of Gal Yisrael, we say in the brachos after Shema, Ela shegeulas halayla geula arichti. We'll say something very interesting. Yet we say Gal Yisrael by Ma'ariv, but then we have Hashkivenu. So the Ritva already comments on this, right? The Ritva says, I don't understand. How can you say that it's somech geula litfila if what? If you have an interrupting paragraph, to which the Ritva says it's called geula arichta. Sometimes geula is quick and immediate. Sometimes the juxtaposition is clear and apparent. And other times, it's an elongated process. The geula of the nighttime begins with Ga'al Yisrael, goes into Hashkivenu. And guess what, Rabbi say? For us in Chutz La'aretz, it then goes into what? Baruch Hashem li'olam amen v'amen. It's called the geula arichta. It's called an elongated, prolonged geula. Ela shemosifin bracha acheres v'haser me'alinu oyev Vaser satan milfaninu macharenu. Ein bebakashos elu kedei listeres berachas hagula shalefneyen. Zut chunasa shal geulas halayla. Shi geula arichta. Arucha mumushechas hi. Hadragis vi'itis. Yesh pa'alios v'yeridos. Satan milfaninu me'achar. Cherev v'oyev me'atstadin. Va'afa pikein. B'derech hageula b'derech hateva. Hi biyachas legalos shalefanel. Shabbos says such an incredible idea. We pass like Rabbi Yochanan, right? That there is geula at nighttime, but geula at night looks very different than geula by day. Geula by day is clear. Geula by day is immediate. Geula by day is unequivocal. Geula at nighttime is geula arichta. It's a longer geula, and that geula sometimes is exceptionally termed v'haser me'aleinu kol oyev v'orev v'listin v'chayos ros, right? U'mechomene piros hamisrak shos lavo la'olam. There's a lot of difficulty. There's a lot of challenges, but it's still called geula. Hakomodim. Skip down a little bit. He says mikan ve'elech. Here, skip to the last paragraph just because of time. He says, "Gulas halayla ha'itis v'hadargodis mechayeves ma'ametz gadol yosem mitzidenu ma'ametz gufenu v'gam nafshi aleinu lif'ol ki b'mo yadenu lekidum gulasenu v'liros b'chozos es hazera lekisem mechavenasen." So we'll say, so again, just to kind of pull this together, Rav Aryeh says something so beautiful. What are we celebrating on Yom Ha'atzmaut? What are we celebrating? Rav will say, it is not the geula by day. It's not. It's not the geula. It's not the smichas geula tefillah of shachris. Right? It's not. Right? The modern day state of Israel has many, many, many imperfections, has many challenges associated with it. So it's not the geula by day. The geula by day is Mashiach. The geula by day, I will say, to be honest, is not a democracy, it's a theocracy. The geula by day ultimately is a base hamikdash. The geula by day is an Eretz Yisrael that has kedusha in every corner of it. Right? The geula by day, I will say, has so many different features to it. We yearn and we pine for that day. But just because we don't have a geula by day, we pass like Rabbi Yochanan, which says that what? There's smichas geula tefillah by Ma'ariv as well. And the geula of Ma'ariv, Rabosai, is very different than the geula by Shachris. The geula by Shachris is clear, it's unequivocal, and it's undisputable. The geula, the smichas geula of tefillah by Ma'ariv, is long and protracted. You say Gal Yisrael, and then you say Ashkivenu, and you say Baruch Hashem Olam. There are ups and there are downs, there are peaks and there are valleys, there's Kiddushan, there's imperfections, there's a variety of different things. But just because it's a geula richta, doesn't mean it's not geula. And Abba says, positive Ariel, that's what we celebrate ultimately again on Yom Ha'atzmaut. We celebrate the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, after 2,000 years of diaspora, autonomy and shlita over our land. Is it perfect? Well, to be clear, the land is perfect. Eretz Yisrael is always perfect, and it always has been perfect. So again, the people aren't perfect, because Jews aren't perfect. The construct of a Medina is not perfect, and it presents many challenges religiously and theologically. We know that. But just because it has problems does not mean that ultimately it's not part of the geula. It's not the daytime geula. It's the geula of Ma'ariv. It's the geula arichta, but it's geula nevertheless. Shechianu v'kimanu v'higianu. That we are privileged to live in times where at least we could say, okay, I'm not get up to the geula by day, but I am most certainly living in the geula of Ma'ariv. We've at least reached the geula of Ma'ariv, Rabosai. And to be able to say that we live in the geula of Ma'ariv, which is the geula arichta, a longer, prolonged geula with many different challenges, is in and of itself an incredible and unimaginable zechus. May we be so committed, Rabosai, over the course of this day, to give shevach and todah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like I always say, however you want to do that. You want to say hello with us, you can say hello with us. You want to go ahead and storm out, you could storm out. But just when you storm out, say a few kapitla of Tehillim while you're taking off your tefillin. I love the things that people choose to make principled stances on. Always very interesting to see. But okay, whatever you do, we love everyone. We love everyone. So whatever you're going to do it with hatzlacha. But just make sure you say it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe, I'm not going to say hello with a bracha, because I'm very makbid on every single word that comes out of my mouth. And therefore, again, I don't want to say all the bracha. Okay, good. I'm such a hakpada like that. So therefore, again, but I'm going to use that koach hadibor ultimately to go ahead and thank you for the Geulas Laila. Thank you for Ma'ariv. Thank you for the Geula Arichta. Thank you for giving me a beautiful, magnificent homeland that I could come home to, that I could visit. Thank you for allowing me to kiss the stones of the Kotel. Thank you for allowing me, whatever you love about Eretz Yisrael, to go and learn in the base medrash of the Mir. Thank you for allowing me to go ahead and see the beautiful desert that's come to life. Thank you for allowing me to go to the beautiful north. Thank you for allowing me to see the magnificent south. Thank you for allowing me to go to Hebron, to Tzfas, to Tiberia, whatever it is, for swimming in the Kinneret or for immersing in the mikveh of the Arizal, whatever it is that you love about Eretz Yisrael, and there's so much to love. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for allowing me to live in a time where I get to see the Geulas Laila, and in the Zechus of being a part of this nighttime Geula Rabosai. May we be Zochem Eretz Hashem to see the Geula Bayom, the Smichas Geula, the Tefillah of Shachris, with the coming of Mashiach Mehira B'Yameinu. Amen.